The massive cheetah's amber eyes locked onto Bella, the golden retriever who had once raised her. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Inside the Cincinnati Wildlife Sanctuary, every staff member held their breath. No one knew what would happen next. Would the wild predator remember the gentle dog who had cared for her as a baby, or would instinct take over? The story began 3 years earlier with a heartbreaking situation. A female cheetah had died during childbirth, leaving behind 3 tiny cubs. They were no bigger than kittens, their eyes still closed and their spotted fur barely visible. Without their mother's warmth and milk, the cubs had almost no chance of surviving. The sanctuary director, Patricia Morrison, knew raising cheetah cubs by hand was extremely difficult. They needed constant warmth, care, and a maternal bond that humans often struggled to provide. Patricia quickly realized they needed help from another animal. That's when she thought of Bella. Bella was a golden retriever who had recently finished nursing her own litter of puppies. Her maternal instincts were still strong, and she was known around the sanctuary for her calm and loving nature. Patricia carefully brought the weak cubs to Bella's enclosure and placed them gently beside her. Everyone watched nervously, unsure how Bella would react. But something amazing happened. Bella immediately began licking the tiny cubs, cleaning them just like she had cleaned her own puppies. She curled her warm body around them and allowed them to move closer. Within moments, the fragile cubs found her and began nursing. Against all odds, Bella accepted them. From that day forward, Bella became their mother. The 3 cubs were named Zara, Luna, and Thor. For the next several weeks, Bella cared for them around the clock. She fed them, groomed them, and kept them warm. The cubs followed her everywhere, tumbling over her paws and climbing on her back like playful puppies. Sometimes they would chew on Bella's ears or chase her wagging tail. Bella remained incredibly patient, allowing them to play while gently correcting them when they became too rough. When they wandered too far away, she would call them back with soft barks. As the cubs grew stronger, they began showing natural cheetah behaviors. They practiced crouching low in the grass, stalking moving leaves and chasing insects. Their speed and reflexes improved every day, but no matter how energetic they became, every night ended the same way. The 3 cubs would gather beside Bella and fall asleep against her warm body. She would gently lick their faces while they purred softly, completely relaxed. To the sanctuary staff, the bond between them felt almost unbelievable. A golden retriever had become the mother of 3 wild predators. However, nature eventually began to take its course. By the time the cubs were 6 months old, they were already larger than Bella. Their bodies had grown longer and stronger, and their play had become much rougher. What once looked like harmless puppy games now carried the power of growing hunters. The staff began to worry. No matter how loving Bella was, the cubs were still wild cheetahs. Their instincts were developing quickly, and the sanctuary had to think about safety. Eventually, Patricia made the difficult decision to separate them. The cubs were moved to a larger enclosure designed for adult cheetahs. The separation was painful for everyone to watch. Bella spent days standing near the fence, whining softly as she looked toward the cheetah habitat. On the other side, the young cheetahs paced around their enclosure, clearly confused by the sudden distance from the dog who had raised them. But as time passed, they slowly adapted to their new lives. Months turned into years. The tiny cubs Bella had raised grew into powerful adult cheetahs. Zara, Luna, and Thor were now strong and fast, weighing over 100 pounds each. They could run at incredible speeds and had developed the hunting instincts their species was famous for. To most people, they looked like typical wild predators. The staff believed the cheetahs had probably forgotten their unusual childhood. After all, animals grow and change. Survival instincts often replace early memories. But one unexpected moment proved everyone wrong. One afternoon, a powerful storm damaged several areas of the sanctuary. Strong winds knocked down equipment and weakened parts of the fencing. Staff members rushed around trying to repair the damage and secure the enclosures. During the chaos, a small service gate was accidentally left open. Bella, who often explored safe areas of the sanctuary, wandered through the open gate without anyone noticing. Curious as always, she followed the path until she reached the corridor behind the cheetah enclosure. Moments later, Bella found herself standing near the feeding chute connected to the habitat. On the other side stood Zara. The 2 animals were only a few feet apart. When Patricia saw the security monitor, her heart nearly stopped. If the cheetah reacted aggressively, Bella would have no chance to escape. Cheetahs were incredibly fast, and Bella was no longer young. The staff froze as they watched the scene unfold. Zara lowered her body slightly, her eyes focused on the dog. Then suddenly she made a sound. It wasn't a growl. It wasn't a hiss. It was a chirp. Anyone familiar with cheetahs knew that sound well. It was the same call baby cheetahs used when they were searching for their mother. Bella's ears lifted immediately. She answered with a soft whine, the same gentle sound she had used years earlier when calling the cubs during feeding time. Zara chirped again, louder this time. Within seconds, Luna and Thor rushed toward the fence. All three cheetahs began making the same high-pitched baby sounds. Their tails lifted and their bodies relaxed. They weren't acting like predators. They were acting like cubs greeting their mother. Patricia carefully opened the enclosure gate while staff watched in complete silence. Bella walked inside. The three massive cheetahs surrounded her instantly. For 1/10 second, everyone feared the worst. But instead of attacking, the cheetahs rubbed their heads against Bella's body and began purring loudly. The sound echoed across the sanctuary. They had recognized her. For nearly an hour, the reunion continued. The cheetahs lay beside Bella just like they had when they were small cubs. They gently groomed her and nuzzled her face while Bella wagged her tail and licked them happily. Despite their size and strength, they were incredibly careful around the older dog. The sanctuary staff watched with tears in their eyes. Even after 3 years, the cheetahs had not forgotten the golden retriever who had saved their lives and raised them when they had no mother. Today, the sanctuary allows carefully supervised visits between Bella and the cheetahs several times each week. Every time she enters the enclosure, Zara, Luna, and Thor greet her with the same chirping sounds they used as babies. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes love can cross boundaries we never expect, even between animals that should belong to completely different worlds.